All right, so here we go with our Quiz 4 study guide. And problem number 1 says if e to f is 2x minus 12. So that's this piece right in here. So e to f, 2x minus 12. F to g is 3x minus 15. And e to g is 23. Well, going back to the segment addition postulate, in this segment, we can say that EF plus F to G is equal to E to G. If you add up the length of the two smaller segments, it's going to equal the larger segment. So then just substitute these expressions into this formula. So E to F is 2x minus 12 plus F to G, which is 3x minus 15, and that equals 23. So we got to combine like terms now. What's 2x plus 3x? It's 5x. And negative 12 minus 15. Negative 12 minus 15, that's negative 27. That's equal to 23. So we're going to add 27 to each side. And our 5x is equal to 50. And then we're going to divide both sides by 5. So x equals 10. So the question is find the value of x. So we've got that. X is equal to 10. E to f. E to f is 2x minus 12. So we're going to say EF equals 2 times whatever x is, which is 10, minus 12. So 2 times 10 is 20 minus 12 is 8. And then we need f to g. So f to g is equal to 3 times x, which is 10, minus 15. 3 times 10 is 30, minus 15 is 15. So there's our f to g. And look, 8 plus 15 equals 23. So all our math is correct as well. The two smaller segments added together equal the entire length of the segment. All right, problem number 2. T is the midpoint of SU. So look, if T is in the middle, isn't it the same distance from S to T as it is from T to U? So you can put tick marks on these two segments, which mean that they're equal to each other. The two segments are congruent if T is the midpoint. So what that means is that 9x is equal to 6x plus 30. So we're going to solve for x. So 3x equals 30. And then divide both sides by 3. So we get another x that's equal to 10. So we need s to t. S to t is equal to 9 times x, which is 10. So s to t is 90. We need t to u. Tu is equal to 6 times x, plus 30. And that's 60 plus 30, which is 90. And if each piece equals 90, then SU is equal to 90 plus 90. So STU is 180. Any questions on either of those problems? All right, then problem number 3. Judging by its appearance. Name an acute angle. So acute is less than 90. 90. An obtuse angle. An obtuse angle is between 90 and 180. And a right angle. What's the measure of a right angle? 90 degrees. All right, so the acute angle, an angle in this picture that looks like it's less than 90 degrees. Can you guys agree on angle H down here? We're going from I down to H and back up to G. Everybody see that? All right, so angle IHG. It may just be referred to as angle H because H is the vertex for just one angle. All right, so then something greater than 90 but less than 180. Everybody see angle G right here? If you start at F, you go down to G and then over to H, this angle right here. We can call it angle FGH. Call it angle G. And we can also call it angle HGF. Those are all referring to the same angle. Going back to this acute angle, what's another way of describing that angle? This IHG. You can change the order of the letters, can't you? GHI, good. All right, and it looks like there's one right angle in this picture. Looks like this angle's 90 degrees to me. So what's one name for that angle? Angle I. What's another name for that angle? EIH. And a third name. HIE, good. When you're naming angles, the vertex, all right, the vertex is always the middle letter in the description. On this obtuse angle, G is the vertex. So here's G in the middle, and here's G in the middle. On an acute angle, we used H as the vertex. H is in the middle here, and H is in the middle here. If you're using just one letter to identify an angle, then it has to be the vertex. All right, problem number 4. What are the measures of angle EBG? So you're going to have a paper pencil quiz tomorrow. If you have color highlighters, it would be very beneficial. So if we're looking at an angle EBG, we're starting at E up here. We're going down to B, and then we're going back up to G. So you see this red angle? You would want to highlight that. Now we're going to say, to find an angle measure, subtract from highest to lowest corresponding measures on the protractor, corresponding side measures on the protractor. So if we're trying to find the measure of angle EBG, do you see this side EB over here? Side EB. Where does it hit the protractor? Do you see the two places it touches the protractor? The two measures? One of them's 80 and the other one's 100, right? Okay. And do you see side GB and where it hits the protractor? You see how it hits it at a 125 and a 55? All right. So we're going to take those two numbers and we're going to subtract. We can either use this outside ring of numbers or you can use the inside ring of numbers. But you're trying to find the difference between the two numbers on the protractor. So if we're going from highest to lowest, and I'm going to go EB, I'm going to use the 100, and I'm going to subtract the 55. And what's 100 minus 55? Good, 45 degrees. So that was using the inner set of numbers, right? We did 100 minus 55. If you use the outside set of numbers and you go highest to lowest, we would take 125 and subtract the 80. And 125 minus 80 is 45 as well. All right, so either way, you're going to get the same angle measure. Just make sure you don't get a negative angle measure. You can't have a negative angle measure. All right, so if you were doing FBC, and I would try to change colors, but I know my computer will freeze if I do that. So FBC, what does side FB correspond to on the protractor? Side FB. Can you guys see that number right in there, right in the middle of the protractor? 90. What does side BC correspond to? 0. So the measure of angle FBC is equal to 90 minus 0, which is 90 degrees. All right, problem number 5 asks you to complete the statement. Angle DGF is congruent to. These marks on these angles, they're called arc marks. One arc mark is congruent to an angle with one arc mark. Two arc marks is congruent to an angle with two arc marks. So they're talking about angle DGF. So they're starting up here at D. They're going down to G and to F. So which other angle has two arc marks? Good, angle E right here. So if they started at D and went to G and then down to F, and you were going to describe this angle E, you would start at D, go down to E, and then down to F. So we're going to say DGF is congruent to angle DEF. Problem number 6 right here. In problem number 6, you're told that the measure of angle AOC, it's this entire angle, is equal to 85 degrees. Angle BOC, this is 2x plus 10. Angle AOB starts at A, goes down to O, and then back up to B, is 4x minus 15. Find the degree measures of BOC and AOB. The diagram's not to scale. All right, so if these two smaller angles added together form the big angle, we can say that AOB plus BOC is equal to AOC. And then we substitute. So AOB is 4x minus 15 plus BOC, which is 2x plus 10, is equal to AOC, which is 85. So we're going to combine like terms again. We got a 4x and a 2x, which is 6x. Negative 15 plus 10 is negative 5, and that's equal to 85. Going to add 5 to each side. So 6x is equal to 90. Then we're going to divide each side by 6. So our x is equal to 90 divided by 6 is? Good, 15. So we need to measure a BOC. So the measure of angle BOC is equal to 2 times 15 plus 10. And what's 30 plus 10? 40. And then we need the measure of angle AOB. AOB is 4 times 15 minus 15. 4 times 15 is 60 minus 15 is 45. So there's your two angle measures. And next we got two problems left here. In problem number 7, if the measure of angle DEF, draw this picture on your paper, draw this diagram. Then label these points, just like the picture. And then in this angle here, DEF, we're going to put a 122. Degrees. We need FEG and HEG. All right. So didn't we say yesterday that if I draw this line right here and I make it DEG, and when we were classifying angles yesterday, we talked about this and we said that what was the measure of this straight line? 180, very good. So if the measure of a straight line is 180, and then we go from E to F right here, and we say that this is 122, well then isn't FEG plus 122 equal to 180? All right, so FEG plus 122 equals 180. So we can subtract 122 from each side, and FEG is equal to 180 minus 122. 58 degrees. So we can write it in, 58 degrees. And then don't you have another straight line right here that goes from F to H? So doesn't angle HEG, the other angle you got to find, HEG plus 58 has to equal 180. So subtract 58 from each side. So HEG is equal to 122. All right, and I think number 8 is the last. Yeah. All right, look, EOF. So draw this picture on your paper. Just, it's usually easier to, however's easiest for you to draw the picture. This is very similar to the problem that we just did. Anything can I draw, maybe? All right, look, here's what it says. It says that the measure of angle EOF is 26. So starting at E down to O, out to F. Put a 26 in there. FOG. FOG is 38, so put a 38 in there. They're asking for the measure of EOG. That's the entire angle. So what are you going to do with the 26 and the 38? You're going to add them together, right? Because the two smaller angles, the sum of the two smaller angles is equal to the measure of the big angle that they form. So the measure of FOG is 26 plus 38, which is 60. Is that right? Is 64. Okay. Is 64 degrees. All right, so that completes your study guide.